Greetings and hello everyone, I'm Kaiser Philip V coming to you today a bit disheveled. But I think sometimes when you have a thought, you need to get it out, and you need to get it out quick before you forget. Especially if you think it's really important. And before you ask, as I was uploading this, I just looked at that thing about the chick. Supposedly they were used for an advertising thing in the Vatican. Supposedly it was controversial because she was like attractive and people thought it was a sex sell. I'm like, look, people, we've had semi-nude women in statues and in artwork at the Vatican since the Renaissance, okay? If you're scandalized by that, honestly, if this ad was pornographic, I think I would have heard about it, but honestly, in terms of theological issues and things, when it comes to Catholic Church, I rate things like that pretty lowly, especially if they don't affect anyone directly, like, if it's not like another round of sex abuse allegations, I don't really care. Because what I really want to talk about here is something I think is very important, and that is what exactly scares me about Pope Francis, and has kind of been in the back of my mind, but has only just recently started bothering me. And that is, in a nutshell, if he goes down, he's going to take the papacy with him. Let me explain what I mean about that, folks. I am a historian. I'm well-read in Catholic history, and I've supplemented it with an understanding of Catholic spirituality and theology and culture so I can better understand some of the context for these situations. And we've had some real villains for popes. I wouldn't dress them up as being super evil, but I would say they were bad guys. But when it came to them carrying out their duties of the office of pope, they at least did their jobs. I mean, sometimes they were negligent in their duties, but we never saw like a purposeful, willful negligence. John the 22nd, I believe it's John the 22nd, correct me if I'm wrong on my Roman numerals there. John the 22nd, the Pope who pronounced heresy on the Beatific Vision, admittedly did not, I feel like some trads who are against the popes of the last couple of years play it up a lot. Like they overdo it, like in terms of what the impact was, because it was it's a minor footnote in Catholic history. I mean, really, if it was, here's what I tell people: if it was super important, we probably would have known about it, but we haven't, and it's not really talked about. And I don't think that's because of a cover-up in this case. I think it's just because, it's just not a big event, and it was resolved quickly, and it didn't cause any major issues, And even then, the Pope retracted his statements before the end of his term as pontiff and before the end of his life. So, victory there. But Pope Francis has, in the last month or so especially, basically doing what I can only describe as trying to destroy what credibility he has with practicing Catholics. Like doing everything possible to make it impossible for good, well-meaning apologists and writers and bloggers and, just apologists in general, trying to make it as impossible as he can for these people to defend him. That's the only way I can describe what I'm seeing going on in front of me. And it's just one of those things where you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do. Because I at least expected at some point for him to, clarify his statements as being fully orthodox, or forcing the interpretation of orthodoxy onto them. But when you insult Catholic families, when you say apologetics are meaningless, and then when you say these statements are fully intended to be part of your ordinary magisterium and that you're teaching when you say these things, you've crossed a line. You've crossed a line that has been hugged but never fully traversed. in the 2,000-year history of Catholicism. You've officially gone past a certain point. And unfortunately, as a historian, as a Catholic, I feel like it's a point of no return. Listen, people, if an army of people ran up to St. Peter's waving flags like this, dragged the Pope out of St. Peter's, and then drawed and quartered him in St. Peter's Square, and Cardinal Burke was hoisted onto a sede gestoria and made the pontiff, it wouldn't change a damn thing. Because the fact of the matter is, you've just destroyed the sanctity and the authority of the last absolute monarchy in the Catholic world. The highest monarchy in the Catholic world. You just destroyed it. Every credibility it had as an untouchable institution that people like Otto the Great and, Pepin of the Franks worked for to make happen, you've just destroyed. Because now, a precedent has been established that the mob can influence the papacy again. They can have control over the elections again. And this is a very, very, very bad thing. Even if it's a mob of saints, it's a very, very, very bad thing. Because now there's nothing stopping your opposition from doing the exact same thing. And there's nothing now to hold back the endless torrent of criticisms that have been unjustly leveled by Protestants and other religions against the papacy. Among the Eastern Orthodox now, Petrine authority has officially pretty much been, it was rejected always, but now pretty much all argument in its favor has been tossed out the window because of the things Pope Francis has said and done. The Eastern Orthodox would be absolutely crazy to attempt a reunion with Rome now. They'd be absolutely insane to do it. Protestants are affirmed in their beliefs by this man. This guy and his actions towards evangelicals has completely and utterly cemented their personal belief in their errors and has made them comfortable in them. And now he will forever be a benchmark for these people to refer back to, using our own Petrine authority against us to maintain their error and to maintain a state of supremacy over us and to keep us beneath their boots. This is a point of no return. It is a point beyond which we cannot go back. It's something that is not supposed to happen. And this is what aggravates me. People who want to stay faithful to Rome won't admit this. They won't talk about this. People who are just as smart as me and just as smart as you won't admit this. They won't talk about it. Like I've told people for the past couple of weeks now, you take Pope St. Pius X and you put him in a room with Pope Francis, and you tell them both they're the Pope, and you tell me what happens. Go ahead, tell me what happens. Don't make up some namby-pamby bullshit about them shaking hands and telling the other they did a good job. They won't. If you want to really get a rise out of them, get them both to talk about their theological positions, about their political positions. It's not going to end well. It won't be pretty. There's not even a precedent in canon law regarding the papacy for what to do if a pope is medically incapacitated from doing his job. There is certainly nothing on how to depose one for being heretical. There are ideas and formulas and hypotheses passed around by doctors and theologians, but there is no official procedure. Never was one. Because it wasn't supposed to happen. The papacy was supposed to stay strong. And it did not happen. I don't think, do you get it now? Are you starting to see it? Are you beginning to understand now how Pope Francis now has the power in his hands to destroy the Catholic Church? Not even that, to obliviate the legitimacy of the Catholic religion. Like in the apocryphal story of Daniel, the same Daniel in the lion's den, revealing that the dragon of the Babylonian priest is false and that they're just stealing the food for themselves, just like them. Just like that story, which is apparently apocryphal, did not happen. Or maybe it did. I think it's an apocryphal tale, though. Just like that, Pope Francis has the power to have the same effect now on the Catholic religion. The exact same. This should terrify you. If you're not scared yet, I don't know what to tell you. If you're not scared, please tell me why. Because I can't fathom why you're not. The only other thing I can think of is that you are so head over heels for the modernizing of the Catholic religion that this is the best thing that could have happened to you in your life and you're just as happy as can be, in which case, please do say so. Because I want to point something out. I want to make a point. I want to see exactly the ratio of people that, Catholics who are for and against. I kind of want to see that. I want people to see that when they come to this video. I want them to know. I want people, the faithful resistance crowd, to see just how screwed we are. Just how far up against the wall you are. Just how outnumbered you are. It's absolutely foolish to not be terrified for the future of Catholicism right now. And who knows, maybe in 50 years we'll all look back on this as not a big deal. Well, right now we have to, because we're living in it. We don't have the luxury of looking back now and saying it's not a big deal. It's in our faces right now, and we have to deal with it. Again, even if we depose the Pope by force and put a new one up, even if someone wanted to, I wouldn't advocate that. Because it's a stupid idea. And it wouldn't work. And even then, the ramifications down through history are too terrifying to comprehend. Because now, along with the rest of the monarchies of the Catholic world, it has been torn down and desecrated by the mob. The only way removing Pope Francis, or any pope like him, like this right now, if we ever have another one again, would even work, is if he was invalidly elected. If there was smoking gun proof that the canonical election of Pope Francis, and possibly even the abdication of Benedict XVI, was invalid, was incorrect. That's the only way we're getting out of this. That's the only way out of this nightmare. That's the only way we can go forward. And I don't know about you, but I don't have that information, that kind of information to make a judgment call. And even then, if we know, what's to say the clergy will even care? What's to say the priests will care? What's to say the bishops, the archbishops, the cardinals? What's to say they'll care? What's to stop the watching? So what? What are you going to do? Are you going to tear down the Catholic Church and make it in your own image? Yeah, because that won't have the same effect as, tearing down, the monarchy of France or Spain or the Holy Roman Empire. It won't have the same effect at all. Of course it will. Systems will be put in place after this mob revolution works, which will put the people, the mob, I should say, not even the people, the mob, in charge of the ecclesiastical affairs of the Catholic Church, thus destroying its monarchical character and thus destroying the system as it has operated since the beginning. It would be the institutional death of the Catholic Church as it has been known. And eventually, you would see the rise of conservative regions and liberal regions, officially, on the map, officially. And once one side or the other, particularly you should be concerned the liberal side, is emboldened by their numbers, they will crush all opposition violently. It will be the Great Western Schism if it was allowed to peter out for like 200 years. Chaos. Absolute anarchical hell. You will see the legitimacy of the Catholic Church in the eyes of the world completely demolished. By the time the dust is cleared, we would be laughed off the world stage because we mean nothing. The sanctity of the faith is demolished, destroyed, dead, gone, bye-bye, the end. Find something else to do with your life. Because it will make Christ a liar. The gates of hell shall not prevail. The way I'm seeing it, it's starting to really look like they have. Because there's no explanation for this, people. This is not supposed to happen. Something has gone wrong. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. And it stinks to high heaven. The world is out of balance, is out of order. Now completely, if not already nearly so. This is bad. And I don't know any other way to convince you that. So what do we do? What do we do? Where do we go from here? How do we move forward? Not just as Catholics, but as an imperium. Where do we go? How do we answer this question? I'm open to anything right now. You may consider the floor open. You may consider this me willing to listen to the arguments others have to present, the evidence they have to present, whatever you have to say, whatever your side is. I will not discriminate. I will not judge. I won't take sides. I may ask questions for clarification, but I won't take sides until every side's argument has petered out. I will not tolerate the separation of the empire. I will not tolerate its dissolution. I won't tolerate us personally going after each other. I will not. Because whatever happens, we as Catholics are staying together. Granted, I'm going to be able to stop you from leaving, but hey, I'll find some way. If anything else, take that as my earnest plea. Don't let this come between us personally. We've come too far to fall apart. Something just has to be done. We can't keep living in this state of confusion, in this state of not knowing, in this state of watching what's left of the Catholic Church disintegrate. We have cardinals now who appointed by Pope Francis are literally saying things that would be heresy 70 years ago, 60 years ago. Would have been absolute mad heresy. These people would have lost their jobs, their dioceses over saying these things. And here they are, brazen as the day, saying them at universities, press conferences, whatever. This is a disaster. This is bad. Was it Cupic, the new archbishop that the new one in Chicago that tore down all the art in the Catholic churches and said all this really liberal stuff? If that was my first sign that maybe I'm wrong to be on the side of this pontiff. And that breaks my heart to say. I'm a full believer in libertas ecclesiae, the freedoms of the church, the authority and power of the papacy. But here it is being dragged through the mud by the people, not from the outside, willingly, from the inside. This is madness. There must be some answer. We have to find out what is going on here. We can't just rely on faceless conspiracy theories and mumbo-jumbo ideas from penny philosophers and snake oil salesmen, and self-professed monks who live in trailers. We have to find real, concrete answers. Real, concrete truth. We have to get to the bottom of this. And if one of my more horrifying hypotheses is correct, and the papacy somehow does have the authority to do what they're doing now, which has completely changed the face of the Catholic religion, we have to figure out how we're going to respond to that. I don't know what any of this, all of this, what Catholicism means to any of you out there, but it is my life, and I have given things up for it. I've made serious sacrifices and gone through a whole lot of hell trying to follow this religion. And my life was already a big pile of shit. My family hated me. I lived in a pit. I lived in a backwater end of civilization. You know, I knew nobody. I had nobody. I was alone. I struggled with depression. I struggled with suicide. Half the time, driving was fucking Russian roulette with my damn life, because I didn't know if I was going to drive off the goddamn road or not. And even before then, I was insular. I had seen so much terrible shit happen to people that I loved. So much terrible shit had happened to me. I just decided, forget the world. I'm done. I quit. I don't want anything to do with it. I hid in books, literature, fantasy, RPGs, video games, whatever. I hid. I hid away from the world. I disowned myself from the human race. I didn't care anymore. I was done. Then I found Catholicism. Then I found its history. And that gave me a reason to live. Now for some of you, you're probably wishing I'd gone ahead and put a gun in my mouth and blown my brains out across my bedroom wall. You know. But I've been overall very happy with what I found in my religion and in my history. I've been very happy. I was overjoyed to find something in the world that I loved and cherished when I previously had nothing. And now it's being destroyed. More than that, it's more like it's maniacally taking a knife to itself and carving bits and pieces out of its flesh and killing itself, laughing hysterically as it does so, as it watches me just sitting there in agony, for some reason unable to do anything to stop it. And I can't do it anymore. I won't do it. And let me put it to you this way. Whatever sick fucker slipped the crazy pills into that guy's drink, it's making him do this, whoever's responsible for this, if that's not my friend, if this is somehow some cruel, esoteric trick, whoever the fuck you are, whatever the fuck you are, wherever you come from, whatever you're a part of, consider this my first imperial proclamation. It's fucked. God have mercy on you. Because I will and can not.